For my video today, we're going to be traveling to Anheuser-Busch Brewery. After taking some pictures from the entrance, he went through and gave us a debrief of what the tour would look like, and then we went and saw where the Clydesdales are located first.
Your stables at home looks very nice, but it doesn't look as nice as this one, okay? So get those cameras out. Come on, take pictures. They have to have the right look. And this guy right here in the first, he's got the white stocky feet, the brown bay coat, the black mane and black tail, and the white stripe on the forehead. Okay? We have, they could be used, but they're kind of semi-retired. They've got Studebaker gearing in them. They're awesome. You see how this one is kind of back sloped? Well, at the turn of the century, we were not delivering cases of beer. We were delivering barrels of beer. 250, 300 pounds a barrel, right? So as that they were making the delivery, it took both of them on the wagon to make the delivery. They would frequently have Dalmatians on a hitch to keep people away from the wagon and the beer and the horses. Same thing firefighters did to keep people away from a wagon of water. You could keep the dogs could keep up with the horses on the route, and you could see them for their spotted color in the dusk and dark. Okay, so there's a real need for that. We have 6 total Dalmatians, 2 with each hitch. So as the 3 hitches are on the road, like 275 days a year, all of them, making about 250 appearances, there's always 2 horses and a dog that's resting off work, getting up, right? And they travel in comfort too. The trailers that have the horses have a rubber cushion floor, fans and vents in front of every stall, a closed-circuit television in there for the horses to watch TV.
After visiting the Clydesdales, we headed over to one of the breweries where everybody got to learn about the beginning parts of making the beer, and where everybody got to take a sip and touch some of the wood that the beer is made with.
There's 4 tanks wide, there's 2 tanks deep, there's 4 tanks high, 32 tanks in this cellar. Bud and Bud Light only, aging at different times over a 3-week period. Beechwood aging. Okay, from the vertical tanks to horizontal tanks, right? If you open that door right there, that building mirrors this building. 32 more tanks over there, 64 total. There might be 66, but I think it's 64. Okay? So, each one of these tanks at capacity holds 3,600 barrels of beer. Okay? This young lady right here knows, because she's from St. Louis, that's 7,200 kegs of beer.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, she knew that. Learned that in elementary school. This young lady knows that there's about 1.2 million 12-ounce cans of beer in each one of these. Okay? People drink this beer, boys and girls. People drink this stuff. Okay? So, beer comes in here, it's going to stay in here 21 days. What's happening here is the bottom 18 inches of this is filled like this container, with beechwood chips, dry cooked beechwood chips. Why in the world do we use beechwood chips? It's a non-flavored wood. That's one reason. We're not trying to flavor the beer here. But in 1876, beechwood was sourced locally. We still cut beech trees. Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, Missouri. Okay? So, it's a non-flavored wood, but we cut it, let it dry, and then cook it in this like 18-inch strips. There are strips, cook it, dry it, shrivels out. That's what we're looking for. When we put in that beer from primary into here, we're going to to work its way down. Instead of falling to the bottom of the tank and not doing the job it's supposed to do, it attaches to the beech wood and continues to age that beer. Okay? Create an actual carbonization. Create a little bit more alcohol. Really, just aging that beer. Okay? We'll stay in here 3 weeks, roughly, before it's tasted, lab tested, taken the finishing. It's going to be filtered there because it's a cloudy beer in here. Okay? It's going to be flavored there if it's needed to be, with lime or whatever. And then it's going to stay there until it's called sort of bottom. The fun begins, kids. Let's go taste this stuff. Come right ahead. How this thing started, beer was in caves, right? When he came out with Budweiser, he had to suddenly create a whole lot more capacity, right? His idea to create more capacity was to have above ground cellars, right? He had to keep this cold. He had to keep this cold all the time, right? Right around 55, 56 degrees. To do that, his answer to that was to build a power plant right next to the brew house. Okay? That power plant was powered by coal for decades. Where do you think the coal came from? Mr. Bush's coal fields across the river in Illinois. If he would have had 100,000 acres, he would have probably planted all the grains. He wanted to control as much of it as he could. Okay?
After all the adults tried the beer, we headed over to the building where everything really took place and launched since the World's Fair.
Mr. Bush's baby here, guys. This is the brew house, built in 1891. During the World's Fair, more than 1 million people came to visit this place, okay? He tried to show it off as much as he could. Mr. Bush also wanted his brewery, the original buildings, he wanted to have a fortress feel, okay? You see that at the top of this over here. Back behind us, the old malt house. Look at this brickwork up here. This brickwork is 130 years old. It's just awesome brickwork up here. You only see this in the oldest parts of the campus too, okay? So we're gonna go inside, but originally, this is where the Day Fresh people come to get a beer and talk. But originally, in these archways were rail lines, a train depot basically. The trains would pull up, offload grains. Grains would go up grain elevator to the 5th floor. It's a gravity-fed brew coming down. Okay, so that's kind of the way it works. Let's go inside. My understanding, from 1890 to 1900, that decade for the most part, Mr. Bush bought all the hops, this really valley of what is now in Czechoslovakia, everything they could grow, okay? And that tells you, kind of shows you how high hops vines go. They can go like 25 feet high. And we're harvesting the hops. This is about, within the next decade, this community had this painted for Mr. Bush as a present to him. And it's a communal hops harvest, right? And it's in Germany, and we think, oh my God, there's kids in there. Oh my God, what is that about? That was part of it. I mean, that was part of the culture in Germany. There's no question about it. Maybe part of the culture to this day. You know, Germans could still drink, I think, at 16 years of age. I mean, it's not that. This is Larry Leathers, and I'm a tour guide at Anheuser-Busch. And the history of this brewery goes back pre-Civil War, goes back before a guy named Anheuser and a guy named Busch. It was named the Bavarian Brewery. And it started in about the early 1850s, and Mr. Anheuser was the first of the twosome to invest in this in 1854. By 1858, he owned the entire brewery. He changed the name to E. Anheuser Brewing Association. About that same time, here comes a guy named Adolphus Busch, a much younger man, but he knows a lot about beer. And about 3 years later, he meets Mr. Anheuser, and he meets Mr. Anheuser's daughter, Lily, and that's how Mr. Busch got into this. He married Lily Anheuser. Okay? So the process of making beer, I think, was the next one. The beer is made, it basically is using 3 different, Budweiser and Bud Light, let's put it that way, is using 3 different grains. Barley, it's malted, it's called barley malt. Hops and rice. Rice doesn't really add any taste of the grape, but it lightened the beer, the color of the beer. It made it look different in 1876 when it came out. Okay, it came out as one of the first national brands, and it's the beer that made those guys famous and rich, right? Yeast and water are the other ingredients in the making of any beer, including the beers here. And then finally, I don't remember what finally was. We're going to go down at this brewery. It features the largest bottling plant in America. It's called the Bevo Bottling Plant. It's got a keg line in the basement. It's got 6 canning lines, 4 bottling lines. It has the ability to bottle and can 28 million units a day if it wants to. So this place is hopping before Super Bowl and before holidays, okay? And everything that's bottled here is basically staying in this area for the most part. The area that we brew for is from the Arkansas-Tennessee border straight north to the Canadian border. All the states that touch the Mississippi River, Indiana, Nebraska, and the Dakotas get our beer. Hope this helps. Have a great day.
Thank you. In this building, we get to see a little bit of the history documented, and we get to see kind of the layout and the beginning documents of how Anheuser-Busch became Anheuser-Busch. In this next building, we really get to learn about the beer and how it's held and the makings of it. And we also get to see the building as it was since it was first built.
During this period, it'll boil, but it's not boiling all the time. Okay, it's going up and down in temperature. The brew kettles don't look like much to you, maybe. There's 8 foot of brew kettle subsurface. It's a 19,000 gallon tank. There's 6 of them. You only see 5. There's 6. The 6th one is hidden behind the wall because we didn't want to affect the integrity of the building. We did that. And what else do I know? I know one more thing. Yeah. The 6th floor underneath that bronze roof is where we're tasting the beer. Okay? The beer that you buy in a store has been tasted about 10 different times. Okay? By professional staffers. Wednesdays at 2 o'clock, samples of all the Budweiser and Bud Light brewed across North America are shipped into here and taste tested by a professional panel. Okay, to make sure everybody's beer tastes alike. What makes it a professional? Great, not me. I'd be good at it, but not me. Beer masters, people that work here with a known palate for beer. Did you ever do that?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Did you ever do that?
The tasting.
The building that we walked under, we have a liquid called wort at that stage. The wort comes down to brew kettle. These original scales on the 5th floor where the grains would have been weighed, milled, the rice and the barley would have been done. The mash tanks, 2 floors of mash tanks to your left. But okay, so Mr. Bush's boys tell the old man to come outside of the headquarters building in front of us. They got a present for him. He thinks he's about to get a new Model T. But what he gets is 6 Clydesdales in a wagon coming through this gate. This is where they were introduced. April 7th, 1933. Mr. Bush loves these horses. Oh, I'm going to take them back to the farm with me where he's got an exotic farm. And those boys say, Pops, these things are going to sell and promote Budweiser beer. That was the whole idea. So we shipped 6 horses and a wagon to the Newark, New Jersey airport. The first batch of Budweiser that was brewed legally got on a TWA charter flight, was flown to Newark, in that wagon of beer, and the horses and the driver got a police escort through the Holland Tunnel onto Manhattan down Fifth Avenue to the Empire State Building, where it was delivered to a guy named Al Smith, a forgotten politician now, former governor of New York, right? Leading guy to get rid of Prohibition. That made massive news in the newspapers of New York. There used to be newspapers in America too, young lady. Okay? 2 months later, that one wagon that you saw in there that looked different than the other two, and 6 more horses showed up in Washington, D.C., giving fresh beer to President Roosevelt and President Lincoln. Okay? From 1933 to 1935, we visited 61 cities in the eastern United States, showing off the Clydesdales, the wagons, and all that beer. And that's the whole genesis of the Budweiser Clydesdales. 92 years of those Clydesdales now. We do have an airport right over here. If you're wondering if this guy's about to land on us, he's not. So, 92 years of that. Those Clydesdales were beating the world in this operation. The last National Historic Landmark is straight across from this picture. Originally, this was built as a schoolhouse in 1868. Okay? The Lyon Schoolhouse. Lyon. I'm loving this, okay? In 1907, the school board looked around and said, what in the world do we have a school right next to an active brewery? Teachers weren't coming back from lunch break. And the ones that were slurring their words like the host today, right? So they closed this down, sold it to us. This became our headquarters from 1908 to 1982. Okay? 1982. Let's walk straight across here, guys. 1920. From 1920 to 1933, we had Prohibition. Nobody distilled spirits and nobody brewed beer, right? So we were one of 4 breweries that survived it. Among about 40 in the city, right? How did we survive it? We survived it with more employees when it ended than when it started. Mr. Busch got back into doing those rail cars. He got back. He had a patent on a diesel engine. He opened 2 diesel engine factories. We made barley syrup, ice cream, non-alcoholic beer, soda, anything we could think of, right? Using this elephant right out here on the top of this gate as an icon, we sold our yeast as baker's yeast. That was on the character on there, right? On the front of the packaging, it said not to be used in the manufacture of prohibited liquor. Okay? On the front of the packaging, Mr. Busch gave you the 7 steps to brew Budweiser at home. Okay? There you go. That was kind of fun. Okay, here we go.
Now this part was definitely the coolest part, where we got to go into the manufacturing of all the bottles, the labels, and the actual cases being made to be sent out to all the customers. Each of these bottles would be in a person's hand within 4 days normally, and they produce around 13 to 1200 bottles per minute. As the tour is coming to an end, my overall thoughts, I really liked the tour. I liked the tour guide, and I loved learning about everything about the beer and the family and just how everything is made. My dad used to work for this company and knows the family personally, and it was really cool.